Mr. and Mrs. Veneering are brand new people in a brand new house in a brand new quarter of London. Everything about the Veneerings is spick and span new. Their furniture, their friends, their servants. If they had set up a great-grandfather, he would have come home in matting without a scratch upon him. French polish to the crown of his head. And what is observable in the furniture is observable in the Veneerings. The surface smells a little too much of the workshop and is a trifle sticky.
This evening the Veneerings give a banquet.
The new Veneering plate and table settings all carry gold and silver replicas of a camel. That is because the Herald's College recently found out a crusading ancestor for Veneering who bore a camel on his shield, or might have done so had he thought of it. Their chief retainer, a mournful-faced butler, announces the guests as one who would say,
"Here is another wretched creature come to dinner. Such is life."
But restrains himself and merely announces,
"Mr. Twenlow."
Mr. Twenlow,
Being first cousin of Lord Snigsworth of Snigsworthy Park,
is a common article of furniture at the Veneerings' dinners. But still, this good man is always troubled by one burning question.
Am I the oldest friend of the Veneerings, or the newest friend?
The mystery is not made easier tonight when the butler announces more guests.
Mr. and Mrs. Podsnap.
My dear friend, the Podsnaps.
Veneering is about to greet his guest when Podsnap, who apparently does not know him at all, seizes Twemlow as his assumed host and master of the Veneering castle.
How do you do? So glad to know you. Oh, charming house you have here. I hope we are not late. So glad of this opportunity, I am sure.
Twemlow might have corrected the error, but this man is too quick and too forceful.
Let me have the pleasure of introducing Mrs. Podsnap to our host. She will be so glad of the opportunity, I am sure.
Veneering tries to correct the error.
how do you do?
I'm sorry to say I can't remember at this moment exactly where we met, but
So glad of the opportunity, I am sure.
Eventually, the mistake is corrected.
A ridiculous opportunity, but so glad of it, I am sure.
And so Twemlow is about to conclude that
Well, perhaps I am Veneering's oldest friend.
when Mrs. Veneering throws him again into utter despairing confusion.
isn't it that way that Mr. Podsnap has to be the baby's godmother?
Well then, is this friend Veneering's newest friend or oldest friend? And what am I? This is enough to soften any man's brain.
Lady Shippins, Mr. Boots and Mr. Brewer, Mr. Alfred Lamel and Miss Sophronia Akersham, Mr. Mortimer Lightwood and Mr. Eugene Rayburn.
And now the melancholy retainer announces,
Dinner is on the table.
as if like a gloomy analytical chemist, what he would really like to say is,
Come down and be poisoned, ye unhappy children of men.
Well, is your cousin Lord Snigsworthy in town or out of town at present?
Out of town.
At Snigsworthy Park.
At Snigsworth.
as if he would really like to add.
You wouldn't if you knew his name.
The guests noticed the gloomy silence of the young solicitor, Mortimer Lightwood, and of his friend, the young barrister, Eugene Rayburn. They noticed the very confidential, smiling confidences exchanged between the mature young man and woman, Mr. Alfred Lamel and Miss Sophronia Akersham. Then, at dessert time, that hardy old cruiser, Lady Tippins, commands everyone's attention by sailing into new waters.
I assure you, my dear Veneering, that it is the oldest affair. Now, Mortimer, I insist upon your telling all that is to be told about the man from Jamaica.
Give me my honor, I've never heard of any man from Jamaica.
Tobago, then.
Nor yet from Tobago.
I appeal to you whether this is not the basest conduct ever known in this world. I carry my lovers about 2 or 3 at a time, on condition that they are always obedient and devoted.
A grisly little fiction concerning her lovers is Lady Tippins' point. She is always attended by a lover or two, and she keeps a little list of her lovers. And she is always booking a new lover or striking out an old lover.
And here is my oldest lover-in-chief, the head of all my slaves, throwing off his allegiance. Therefore, company! But I am resolved to have the account of the man from somewhere.
We are all very much interested in the man from somewhere.
Even we're quite excited. Romantic. From nowhere, perhaps.
Upon my honor, you will all find the man from somewhere aboard. He comes from the place where they make the Cape wine. The man, whose name was Harmon, was only son of a tremendous old rascal who made his fortune by collecting, sorting, and selling dust. He, the father, grew immensely rich as a dust contractor. On his own small estate, the brown old vagabond threw up his own mountain range of dust. Coal dust, vegetable dust, bone dust, crockery dust, all manner of dust.
It might be interesting to anyone who notices that Lady Tippins, who had initiated the story, is now dozing. But she regularly does that after dinner and sometimes before.
This exemplary old man seems to have derived his highest gratification by anathematizing his nearest relations and turning them out of doors. Having begun with the wife of his bosom, he next found it leisure to banish his daughter. He chose a husband for her entirely to his own satisfaction, and not the least to hers.
Pray go on. Yes, go on.
At this stage of the affair, the venerable parent, the young girl, respectfully intimated that she was already secretly engaged.
Let me guess. Engaged to that popular character whom novelists and versifiers call another.
Precisely. The venerable parent, uncalled when his knife was said, anathematized and turned her out.
Pray go on. Yes, go on.
We must now return, as novelists say,
And as we all wish they wouldn't.
to the man from somewhere. He was boy of about 14, being cheaply educated abroad when his father expelled his sister. Instantly he absconded, came home, burst in on his father, and pleaded his sister's cause.
Pray go on. Yes, go on.
I must correct my...
I must correct my Cupidon and my private name for my list of lovers. If that boy had been a bit older, he should have occupied his chief place of honor.
Venerable parent promptly resorts to anathematization and turns him out. Shocked and terrified boy takes flight, seeks his fortune, gets aboard ship, ultimately turns up on dry land among the Cape wine, small proprietor, farmer, grower. And that's all, except, and this ends the story, except that the son's inheriting is made conditional on his marrying a girl, who at the date of the will was a child of 4 or 5 years old and is now a marriageable young woman. Advertisement and inquiry discover the boy and the man from somewhere. And at this present moment he is on his way home from there, no doubt in a state of very great astonishment, to succeed to a very large fortune and to take a wife.
The young person, the young woman in the will, a young person of personal charms.
Give him honor, I've got no idea.
What would become of a very large fortune in the event of the will not being fulfilled?
It would then go over to the old servant I mentioned, passing over and excluding the son.
What's the man than Don Juan? Why don't you take news from the Commendatore?
What's this? Who? This arrives in an extraordinarily opportune manner. This is the conclusion of the story of the fairy man.
Already married?
Codicil among the dust.
Remarkable. Why no, remarkable thing, you are all wrong. The story is completer and rather more exciting than I supposed. Man's draft.